This workshop now is what I like to call the Restoration Roadshow, where I look at a picture, we talk about it, and maybe we work on it a little bit. So here we have a picture that is inside of a watch, and it's very faded. In fact, it looks like there's nothing.
I didn't think there was.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's just white. It's just a white backing and it never had a photo in it. But we'll find out. So let's put it on the scanner. And now we'll take it off and it should appear. Nope, didn't work. So I have to do it the old-fashioned way. Let's do a preview of it. So who is not here for the first session? Okay, very good. All right. If you're curious, these were notes from that session. All right, so any questions? Yes?
What damage, if any, does subjecting old photographs to this intense kind of light do?
From the scanner?
Yeah. Heat.
Any light or heat is going to affect something, affect an image. So it's best to do your scan and get it off. Nothing is as powerful as the sun. So the sun is probably the worst light to have your picture sitting under. I would say that much. So let's do this one. I'm going to call this 03. Now when you're writing around a picture, you have pictures around you or documents, use a pencil instead of a pen.
Not a Sharpie, huh?
No. Anybody know why?
Go straight through.
Well, I'm not talking about writing on the picture. I'm just having it nearby. Well, you might bump it and it'll mark up your picture. You see what I mean? At least if it's a pencil, it doesn't have ink. So you may not even see it as it goes across the picture on accident.
Sometimes on the back of old photographs, though, the photographs are waxy, and it doesn't really work too hot.
The waxiness in the back of an old photo when you're trying to write on it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so the pencil
Doesn't
won't
really.
mess- yeah. Right. You know, I always mention this to people. I had a customer who, he had these photos in a photo album, and he was a genealogist, and he would do a quick photocopy of the photo. And he would put it on the facing page of the photo in the album, and he would write on that copy the descriptions and the faces and who and all that. So sometimes you can do that, you know. You don't have to worry about metadata and all that stuff I was talking about. Alright. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything is on there. Did I do it the right
Did
side?
you do the right side? Yeah, it is hard to see it.
Well, let's just crank the contrast. See if everything shows up with this.
It's a picture of the moon.
Yeah.
Is it on that or is it on the
I think it's on the wrong
glass? Is it on
side.
the glass?
No, no. I took it off the glass. I'm switching it. Is it on the metal? Oh, careful.
Oh, there. On that. It's on that.
It's on the metal.
Flip it.
Oh, it's a metal picture.
You see him? You have to tilt. Yeah. Flip it over then. There he is.
Ooh.
That's the side.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there was a photographic substrate. Now we're going to see it. I think I remember you telling me that it was on the metal. And let's crank it up. Any other questions? We can always have, I like this part when I'm scanning, you can always ask the questions. Okay, let me crank up the scale. So let's make it 300%. So effectively that'll give us a 4x4. I'm not going to do any work in the scanner. I don't like to do any color correction in the scanner if I can help it. So this one it's kind of like a daguerreotype maybe. But I'm wondering if there was anything on the glass. In that case, it would be an ambrotype. But I don't see any hint of detail.
I didn't think there was anything on it.
Right.
I thought it was just going to be pocket watch.
Right, right. And there's definitely something on there. Except this one. Definitely something on there. Oh, I gave him 4.
No, you changed it to 3.
It still made it 4. I don't know why. But here he is. But it looks distorted. It's not round. That is odd.
What's under 3 then?
You sure about that?
You changed it to 3.
No, I didn't. It didn't stay. Well, oh, you know what it is? It's my screen. It's my screen stretches like this when I had it connected to a projector. I'm sorry. Forget it. It's like I'm seeing things. Okay, so here's what we do. Wrong way.
Doesn't look horrible.
Now I am seeing ghosts.
That's the image, that's the ghost that you
It's
see.
him.
Who's that supposed to be?
Well, without seeing him, I don't know, but probably about my 2 or 3 greats grandfather.
About what year is this, do you know?
Yeah.
18 something?
Is it a uniform?
Looks like a
Yeah.
collar.
Yeah.
Looks like a union. Look at the collar.
Confederate?
There's
No.
something going. It looks like a white collar to me.
Yeah.
No, there was a, because the collar, there was a minister.
No, it's not that. It
No,
looks like a necktie
Yeah, it does look.
in the
There's a
front.
necktie coming down and then is it white on the
Sides,
side?
yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if that's
I have no
You
idea
know,
what it is without the
They used to decorate the
contamination or
top
something.
And then the down, the front.
Can you lighten that any more? Sharpen it, or is that?
well, you know. And then the sharpening doesn't necessarily work so well all the time, but we can try it.
No, it just looks like it's, how cool are
So there you have. There's something. And
It looks like print on the collar. It's print or.
Yeah,
that was-
or-
Looks like it was
yeah,
drawn
it looks
in.
like some etching going on too. Remember, photos were treated like
Yeah.
paintings in many ways. He definitely looks like a retired individual.
Even grump.
Yeah,
Not nice. You can even see the bags under his eyes.
It's hard to sit for those poses. He probably
Yeah.
had to sit a while for that exposure. So
And what was that made on? Did you say that was metal or?
It
it
is
looks
metal.
like some kind of copper or something,
Yeah.
right?
It's metal.
Because, does that help date it?
Well, this would certainly help with that. Yeah, you need to go to someone with antique experience because they could tell you exactly. So could you reassemble this, please?
Yeah.
And carefully.
Yep.
And I don't know if I put it in the right order.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Isn't that
Thank
cool?
you.
Thank you
So-
for finding him.
No problem. So send me an email and I'll send you that file that I scanned. Okay, Nancy, send me an email and I'll send you the file. Okay. I wanted to, before we deal with anybody else right now, I wanted to just talk about a particular picture. we have a very large print. And these are always fun. So here we have, 16 by 20. How do you digitize this? Anybody?
Piece sections.
Scan it in sections is one way to do it. And what's another way? Is there another way?
Take it to a shop, take it to
And whatever they do works. It's magical. Let me see if we have this one. Anybody else? There you go. Take a photo of it. Make a copy shot of it with a nice camera with high resolution. Now, when you have a picture like this of people, take one picture. Oops. Oh, it stinks. It's like it disappeared. Oh, I guess it took too much power. Shoot. I'm trying to get this. Actually, we scanned this one. So, yeah. Sorry. No. Sorry. Give me a second. Sorry. A little technical. Cary. Right, now we'll do overwrite. That should work now. Just drew too much power from this adapter. So you do your shot of the whole image. Then try to do some close-ups of the faces. Because you'll have more detail in the face. And the eyes are the window to the soul. They're the first thing we look at. So, and then you can put those copies onto those close-ups onto the larger version in something like Photoshop or Photoshop Element and blend it in to the original. It takes some work, but it's a suggestion. And I try to give you good suggestions. And I think I'm going to open this one in Bridge just so I can see everything again. Sorry. So I just wanted to talk about this one like that. All right. Another interesting picture we have is this.
Oh, I have some of those.
Yeah. So what do we do in a case like this? I do two things. One, scan it. All right? And be careful because you shouldn't press it down because it bulges out.
Oh, you
All right.
scan it right in there, you wouldn't
Yeah.
take it apart.
Yeah, it might be laminated in here or glued in here. If you want to try to take it apart, this is what I do. Scan it as it is, then take it apart. Because if you ruin it, well, at least you have it before you ruined it. Okay? Sometimes you got to do that, But I think you could get enough detail off of this scan. You wouldn't have to take it apart. I want to go to this one that we have in pieces.
Oh, my.
So we were talking about scanning in pieces. All right? And Photoshop has a neat little, this will be 19, sorry, I just want to catch the file numbers here. It'll be 15 through 19. All right. Photoshop has a neat little automated device function called Photomerge. Y'all ever use Photomerge? Yeah.
Is that
It works.
Photoshop Elements?
Isn't it great?
Is it also in Photoshop Elements? Excuse me. The photo.
I'm going to double check right now. 15 to 19. Give me a second. I believe it does have. Okay, so now what it's going to do, it's got these images. It's going to work and work and work by itself while I drink this and talk with you to try to stitch it together. Sometimes it doesn't work so great. And I'm checking elements right now. And if I can't find it in my old version, I'll check the internet. And we'll type Photoshop Elements Photomerge. Let's see what we come up with. While it's stitching together the picture.
So it automatically stitches it? It tries to figure out where they...
Yeah, it's working right
Like a
now.
puzzle, like a
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah, it fits it like a puzzle. It takes it apart.
Even though the one, like the two corners were on one scan.
I skipped that
Oh,
for
okay.
demonstration
Oh,
purposes. Yeah. So it looks like Photomerge is in Elements. It is. Yes. So this exists in Elements. So what I'm showing you now, you try it on Elements. And by the way, if you don't have Elements, you can actually download a free trial from adobe.com, and it's 30 days, fully functional. After 30 days, it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. And, you know, if you're interested in learning it, I always say, get the course. And it's working, so let's talk. Any other things? Let's see. Here's something I want to talk about. And I think we can pass it along. It looks like it's in plastic. Yeah.
Is that good to put something in plastic?
No. This plastic is a sandwich bag, probably. It's PVC. It's not archival bag. It will eventually break down the photo. But this, if you all want to pass it along, this is a reddish looking picture.
Look at that.
Most likely, it had a different color to it, and it has been in the sun. It got hit with sunlight. This is what happens.
Was there a problem with either photo finishing or film of like the 70s, that it seems
Yeah.
like those
Yes.
pictures deteriorated a lot faster? I've got pictures of my grandfather
Yeah.
from the 40s and before that are beautiful in color.
Yeah, it was very different time. I don't know. It was. Remember, photography was more accessible in the 70s. You know, and they were probably being cheap. The manufacturers being cheap with photographic paper and the process and the chemistry.
That stuff of my grandfather's from
Yeah.
the 40s, it's just beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful red.
Everything of me from the 70s when I was a little boy, my little toddler,
Yellow, green now.
yellow and red. And they have not been in the sun.
Right.
They've been in a book,
Yeah.
you know.
But I thought some of those
Photo
scrapbooks
albums.
were,
Yeah, with
they
the-
had that film on
Yeah,
it that you
plastic.
put over it. And
The magnetic photo albums, aren't they lovely? Yeah. Yeah, garbage. If you have a magnetic photo album, quickly take everything out of it and put...
Yeah.
Now look at what happened on screen.
Yeah.
So here's what it did. It stitched...
How cute.
All right, I disconnected. Give me a second here. I need to put my plug back in here. But look, isn't that nice what it did for you?
Yeah.
Okay? I didn't have to do any thinking. You know, it thanked for me. So I'll take this out here, plug this back in here. Okay?
Is the Photoshop Elements the only one that's got that photo merge?
There might be other programs that have something like it, but that's all I know. Now here, this is faded a little bit, but really, it's got a lot of dirt and mold in it, and it's growing. So it's very dirty, and it's got some mold in it. And the thing about mold is it never stops growing. It just keeps working and working. Because it's an organic substance feeding on an organic substance. All right. Let's jump to, let's try to work on something here. All right. Okay, here's one that's kind of typical. Oops. Don't load something else, please. All right, let me try this again. Okay,
I have one like that.
so we all have something like this, right? All right, first thing, whose is this? Yours, okay. So the first thing I would do, I've scanned it as a TIFF. That's the most important part, right? You scan it as a TIFF.
Now, what does TIFF stand for?
TIFF stands for Tagged Image File Format. And it is a very popular, lossless, archival-like file format. Yeah. And anybody know what JPEG stands for? Joint Photographic Experts Group. All right, so I'll take the crop tool, and it depends on your preferences. I cut a little bit into the edge, just because I don't like to have a string of white on the line there. I like it to look neat from the beginning. All right, and then I save. And now from here, I'm going to work on this original. Now I go File, Save As. I change the name a little bit. Me personally, I like to go -R1. You can do V1. R stands for revision. Revision 1 or version 1. That's the one I'm working on. That's what I call a working copy. That's so that I keep the original untouched, and I have the working copy that I can mess around with. Now, when you save as a TIFF, I always recommend you save with what's called LZW compression. We talked about, another person who was in the room was talking about lossy formats, compressing, making files smaller, how you can lose information. Well, the LZW compression scheme is a lossless compression scheme. Every photo is comprised of binary strings that are 8 digits long, 101001, something like that. Well, all TIFF LZW does is it chops off zeros at the end of the string. Whenever there's a string of ones and zeros and ones and zeros, and there's zeros at the end, there's no information that's needed for the image. So LZW chops that off, and your file size usually gets cut in half. So for those of you who are scanning big, which I recommend, and saving as TIFF, which I recommend, LZW is a great compression scheme. And you'll see it when you save the TIFF in Photoshop, Photoshop Elements, or whatever. It'll actually give you a TIFF dialog. And you just tell it, I want LZW.
And you're still talking at least 300 PPI?
Yeah, at least 300. At least 300 PPI you need to be, that's what you need to be, the resolution you need to save as. So we'll click OK. Next. Normally, well, all the time, I work with a stylus. I didn't bring my stylus today, so I'm using a mouse. Mouse is can be very painful if you do a lot of this kind of work. When we approach a picture, after we crop it, we say, oh, it's a little soft, it's a little out of focus, let me sharpen it. No. No. Sharpening, if you do it, should be at the very end of the process. Okay. Now for now, the first thing I attack are the big problems. Right. We have what looks like splattering of, could be window cleaner, who knows what that is. In the layers palette, over here, I create a duplicate layer of the background layer. Right? That's called background copy. You can do that by going to Layer, Duplicate Layer. Or you can do a shortcut like what I did. But we won't get into the shortcut now. I want to duplicate that layer because I'm going to be doing, I want to work on this and I want to look at my progress before and after. And also if I make a real awful mistake and I can't go back to the original, or I don't want to go back that far, or I can't go through the undo history, I can at least delete that part of the layer. That's a worst case scenario. Now the next tool I want to apply to this, we can use what's called clone stamp, or we can use a healing brush. I like to try the healing brush. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but let's see how it works here. It works just like the clone stamp in 2 steps. I use the Alt Option key, and I click somewhere next to the spot that I'm getting rid of. Not on the spot, but near it. Telling Photoshop or the program to remember this area. I let go, and I click and brush, and it's gone. Now in my course, I have an entire chapter just on doing this kind of stuff. I take you through it step by step. I'm going to go a little fast today. And I'm not going to clean up the whole picture, because I want to go through some other pictures. I do the same thing here, brush here. Now when I say the clones, the healing brush doesn't always work, it's sometimes when you're at the edge of a picture like here. So I click, I set my source, and I paint right here. And as you see, it kind of fades. You'll see some lightness, maybe a little lightness show up there. It doesn't completely maintain the texture. Yeah, it still kind of lightens it up, but it's okay. It's not bad.
Better than it was.
It's better than it was, so I can go there. Now here we have what's called a black and white photo. So let's say I clean up all the big spots. We have some colorization going on here that is just, it's a black and white photo, but there's color spots. There's weird color cast going on. We can eliminate all of that at the end. Next is let's get rid of some small spots. Now a great little function in Photoshop is called the dust and scratches filter. It's really good for pictures like this that are dimple texture. And I think you can see, yeah, you can see on the screen these weird honeycombs. That's a dimple texture. Now, of course, this was all invented before we had digital, so the purpose of the dimple texture is for people who like to touch their prints. They won't end up leaving a big, nasty thumbprint on the picture. The dimple texture kind of reduces that. But when you scan it, the light from the scanner bounces inside that dimple texture, and you have this nasty effect. So dust and scratches can sometimes help you eliminate that. Let's try it. I said sometimes. Filter, noise, dust and scratches. I wonder if you can see a difference. Before, after. Now, I can go down one level in the pixel radius. Still eliminates quite a bit, and we keep a nice picture. So I hit OK. So the picture really hasn't gotten, we haven't lost quality in the picture, but we've reduced the dimple texture. Let me do, because the projector, I want to ignore what I'm doing now. I'm just doing this to help you see what I did better. So here's before, after. See a difference?
Yeah.
Now we'll go to the eyes, nose, mouth. You see the difference? And we could push it a little bit more, but we want to be careful because we don't want to lose detail in the face. So let's try it one more time. Oops, wrong layer. I'm going to copy layer. We'll apply dust and scratches again. Yeah, we're going to start losing detail. But if you look at the lips, you'll really see it. It kind of gets distorted. But if it's only going to be this big, and you're not going to print it very big, and the original's not very big, and you just don't care, it's perfect. Okay? It's all up to you. And that's why I say, have a working copy and an original. If your tastes change over time, and you really want to be a fanatic, like I am at times, just pull out the original and start again. All right?
When it says background, is that the original one you scanned and background copy is the one you're changing?
Every photo, every image that's opened in a photo editing program such as Photoshop has one layer by default, and it's called the background layer. If there's no background layer, watch this. There's no image.
Oh, okay.
That's where you can draw.
You can draw in there too. Okay? So I will close this.
Well, I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
how do you, like, you know, I've done that on the background where you fix the color, but on the face where there's so many different shades, you know, it's like,
Sorry.
you just have to do smaller spots. Yeah, I'm sorry,
I should have saved it.
you know, the background
It's a great
isn't
question.
as important, but when you're on the face, how do you fix those spots?
Well, I'll show you. It's really quite simple. And
Like
we
where
have
the hair is,
to
you know?
knock out. Like, look at the eyebrow, right? It looks like a little bit of spaghetti sauce. Or
Yeah.
something, right?
That's what I had to do.
Right. You just got to take out all the color. And one way to do that is called desaturation. So we'll go to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation. And we pull the saturation slider to -100. It gets rid of the color. Then we go with our healing brush and we clean up that eyebrow.
Oh, my goodness.
See?
Okay, so like do that one where you're at now by the hair.
The big one.
Okay, well, you're talking about the spots here.
No, no, yeah, like that, you got the hair and the
So
face.
this won't really work too well with the healing brush. We'll probably have to use the clone stamp, but let's try it. Yeah, see, it's fading it out. So
So that, yeah, you would have to copy from different spots.
maybe. Let's see. So let me undo. I'm going to make a new blank layer just because I'm doing some detailed work. So we could take the clone stamp here, source here, and slowly working it from different areas as you put it, mixing it in. And we're just going to work and work and work. This is very crude what I'm doing because of time and I don't have my stylus. I really apologize for that.
Let's see.
All right, that's looking really rough, but we're going to still work on it. Watch this. Now, we have that as a base, a really rough base. Let's clean up this part here. There's something I'm not doing right. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Current layer. Now, I'll take the selection tool, which looks like a little lasso right over here. And, come on. Take this area and make a soft edge for that selection. Expand them. I'm so used to working with keyboard shortcuts, but I can't do that because I'm demonstrating. So select, modify, feather. And we're going to try to feather it by 4. That will soften the edge. And I just went into quick mask mode just to see, hitting the Q key. This is only in Photoshop, not Photoshop Elements. It lets me see exactly how soft the edge is. That's okay. So I copy, I'm going above layer 1, and I'm going to paste, just like I would text. Move this here. Now, edit, transform, flip horizontal. Now, we go to show transform controls for this particular layer. And we'll turn that to kind of match. Now we want to be careful because we don't want an exact duplicate of the other side of the head, because it will look fake. And we have up here in the layers palette something called opacity. We can pull that down a little bit. Now, I want to erase a little bit of this. Normally I would jump into what's called layer masks, but just for you guys, I will use the eraser tool. It's a much more crude tool, but it does the job. So I grab the eraser tool over here, make a nice big brush. It's a soft edge brush, right here. 0 hardness. And I'm just going to erase a little bit. And a little bit here. Because we don't want it to look like the exact same side of the head. So it's a blend. And so here we go. We have before, after. Okay?
It takes
Here's
a
one
long
way.
time to get to that stage.
It takes a long time to get there.
That's right.
But with practice, you can do it. All right, so we're doing good on time. Let us, I did do R1. Yeah, that's great, R1. Okay. Now this one, we talked about this, so I'm going to close this. Let's talk about these right here. Oh yeah, this is nice. I like this one. Oh, that one too. Let's go to this one. Let me open this. Whose is this?
Mine.
Yours. Okay. Great. And let's look around at the picture. This says June 1982 at the bottom. So that's helpful. Now, some would say, well, I want to get rid of that. I say don't. Unless you're going to make, you're going to display it in a big frame, in a frame somewhere, go ahead. But leave it. Leave it. It's part of the image. It also is part of the era. Because at that time, in 82, that's how your prints looked. They all had that thing. That was the cool thing to do. So here we have faded color. So first thing we'll do is let's fix the cropping here. And we'll rotate the crop box a little bit. And all these kind of details, these are, it can be troublesome if you don't know how to do it. But again, we're moving fast for demonstration purposes. And I hit return. We've straightened it out. All right. So with faded color, there's a lot of ways to approach it. You can approach it by forcing color, or you can approach it by eliminating color casts. And by forcing color, I'd also say you can paint in color too with these kind of images. But this probably looked really good when you got it back from the lab. The color looked really good.
82, yeah.
Yeah, but, it's faded a little bit. So the first thing we do is attack the contrast. Because if we work on contrast, we can eliminate many color casts without even thinking about it. Now in my beginner's course, I teach you about working in levels. In this case, we're going to use that technique. I don't work in levels with my regular work that I do, that I'm paid for. I use curves. But I think levels is a nice way to get people started. So the first thing I do is bring the white and black sliders in this levels dialog to the edges of what's called the histogram, or I call it the mountain. And I do it in each color here. So I change it from red, I change it from RGB to red, I fix that. And I go to green. I'm only moving the sliders to the edge. I do not touch what did I do? I do not touch the middle slider. And I go to blue. Now, in the layer palette, before, after.
Wow.
Now, it's hard to see because it's on the projector, it's on the screen. So I'm going to add a little curved layer here just to help you see it better on the screen. All right? Now watch this, watch this. Look in the green. See, the green looks better. We've eliminated color casts by doing that. Now what we can do is, I'm going to leave, it's kind of blowing it out. Now what I want to do is add hue and saturation. And I want to saturate the color and see what happens. Moving the saturation slider all the way over, we can see, well, that's a little too much. So we pull it back. I'd say to 40. Now I'm going to turn on that curved layer so that you can see it better from the projector, but it's going to blow out the sky because now I can see clouds and everything. It's really nice. So watch. See the saturation? This is before. This is after. Look in the bricks. Before, after. It's starting to look like it originally looked. All right? And in the I don't know. Yeah, you can even see the clouds better. Yeah. So this is some little basic techniques, what I like to call the photo restoration basics. But if you know this, it makes working on pictures so much easier because we have a lot of pictures like this. All of us have something like this. It's easy to approach. It's easy to use. Not everything needs a whole lot of repair work. I mean, there's little spots up there, a little dust spot up here on the top of the roof. We can use the healing brush clone stamp if we want. You know, that didn't look so good. You know, and do that. If we want to paint out the cast in the sky, we can do that as well. But let's move on. Let me save this as an R1. I should have saved it in the beginning. Make that part of your workflow in the beginning. Yeah. Thanks. I have your cap here too.
Okay, that's all right.
I think I do. Yeah, I do. All right. So let's go to, this one would be, Photomerge. This is interesting though. Let's run this through Photomerge, and let's talk about the color. Let me close this, and we'll go to File, Automate, Photomerge. And we'll tell it, please use Add Open Files, this button here. These are the files that are open. And we'll click OK. And this one will be a little faster than the other one because it's only 2 images. Wasn't able to do it, looks like. We'll probably have to crop them first. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Any questions?
If I had a picture like that from my kindergarten, but I put
Didn't work.
arrows and names of people on, can I go and copy that picture and take those names out?
Copy it. You mean you scan it?
Yeah, scan it, and then should I be able to then take out what I scribbled in?
Yeah.
when I was 8?
There's taxes on some of these.
And then the mustaches off.
Let's help Photoshop out a little bit by cropping these, because it might be looking at the white border.
Is it going to cut people off?
Well, we should have them in the other print. Yeah, see, we have more of them in the other side. You see gentlemen sitting here. Huh.
Maybe that's why I wouldn't merge it.
No, I think we got it. I think it's not that wide of a picture. I don't know, maybe, is it something missing from the, was maybe something torn off?
It was creased and broke.
That's like.
So we had the crease.
Yeah,
You have
it's
the
missing.
crease.
Looks like it's missing
Oh,
somebody.
yeah, we're
No, they're the
missing.
same size picture. Did they not get scanned? It's the same size.
I'm trying to see what
It's
we're
like
missing.
that
Wow, we are
piece cut off,
missing.
missing piece.
Yeah,
We are
it's
missing
missing.
quite a few, yeah. Okay. So let's undo that. So this will be a manual. You're going to have to put this together by hand. So how do we do that, right? So let's do that. Undo. Step backwards. All right. So let's double click the background layer. We'll make it layer 0. That way it'll be transparent. We can actually move that layer around because by default the background layer is locked. And we'll drag this one on top. Now, we'll go to what's called image, canvas size. And we'll make the canvas really wide. So let's try 20 inches. And we'll anchor to the left so that the 20 inches will extend in that direction. Now in the layer palette, let's see if I can make it big. I'll make it big so you can see it better. Make it this big. Okay. Grab the move tool. Pull this over here. Now, go in. And we're going to try to help because we have this gentleman's shoulder. But we're missing part of a face. So let's move in the layer palette. Let's move layer 1 under layer 0. We still might have to. Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do is because everything's not square, is I'll grab what's called the Polygonal Lasso tool. And I'll click here. And I'm going to go right on the edge, right where I'm not going into important detail. And I'll go right along.
That's enough for me.
The edge is here. And it ends right here. And I click. Now it's surrounded. I'll go to select. Inverse the selection, which instead of the image being selected, now the area around the image is being selected. In my layer palette, I make sure I'm clicking on that left panel. And I hit delete. And it gets rid of all that white border. I want to do the same thing on the other side. Click on this layer. Sorry. Getting a little closer. Let's grab that same tool, that Polygonal Lasso tool up here. And we just click and pull. You don't have to hold the mouse down and get carpal tunnel syndrome. Go in. I like it when the automatic stuff doesn't work, because then I can really show you guys. You can still do it. It's hard, but you can still do it. And we're just doing that. Oops, wrong key. I'll get that later. Just pull down here, click, hold this space bar down as I'm shifting this across. Click. Now we're connected. I teach this in the course, how to add to a selection. So I hold the shift key down on the keyboard, click, and pull. And I should have done subtract, not add, sorry. I'll hold my Alt key down, my Alt option, click, and it's going to chop away this part that I selected on accident. There. Now, select, inverse the selection again, because what happens if I don't inverse the selection, picture's gone. So I have to inverse selection, because the selection is surrounding the image. And Now I can deselect. I don't need any selections. Now I can work a little bit, try to finesse, get those details along the crease that Mr. Smarty Pants Photomerge couldn't do. Let's zoom in closer.
If you overlap.
Yeah, we're going to have to overlap.
Yeah.
All right. We're a little closer here.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's see her. So that looks like the matriarch there.
Yeah.
We have a distortion going on here. We have lost. I think we've lost that bottom part. That's rough. In that case, well, not really. It's just maybe a little rotation.
I think he needs to pull it down like a.
Well, let's first. Actually, no. We actually have to rotate it a little bit.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Because it's okay up here, but then you'll see it's off here. And his shoulder is probably longer than it needs to be, just because we need to rotate. So I'll go Control T, and that will give me the transforming box. Put my arrows out, arrow pointer right out here in the corner, and we'll rotate. And I'll hit Return. Using the Move tool, just move him here. Now it's snapping in, so I'll hold the control key down a second. A little more control. And we'll go down. So we have a little more of his leg. See? In fact, I'd say we got it all. And this is easy to rebuild. Well, at least in my opinion. And I think we got it. We got his chin lined up. We got the matriarch. She's off a little bit. She's a little squished in her head. But not bad. Her arm is right here. She's pretty close here. You know. So we might need to move this down a little bit and see what happens there. But then she's off too. So when I'm this close, I usually go with it. I keep it like this. You know. The only problem is though up here will change. But fixing that shoulder isn't as bad as trying to fix someone's
But
hat.
her shoulder, she's got a collar, I think, if you look on the other side. So I think that's matched.
Yeah. Well, we got the matriarch. She's set.
Yeah.
He's okay. We can blend that in. Some weird lighting going on.
This folder is all of it.
Thank you very much. So yeah, definitely let's save it. Should have done that from the beginning. Again, I'm rushing.
What year is that picture, was ever?
About 1923.
Yeah, I thought in the 20s. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
I tell you, people really knew how to dress back then. Today, people walking around in boxer shorts and halter tops. Excuse me, what are you here for? Oh, I'm here for so-and-so's funeral. Oh, okay. All right. So what I would do from here is I would then merge it. I would flatten the image, and then we would see the white show through in some cases, like down here. And then we would take something like the clone stamp tool and just patch that up. And we would choose from random areas so we'd mix it up, because otherwise we don't want it to look fake. See that? Oh, that's the same leaf that's over there. You know.
14 times.
Yeah, I mean, I see really nice books with art with engraving art, line art, old engraving art from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and I see where they repaired it. And how much I paid $100 for this book, and you did the lousiest.
Get some leaves in there too.
Yeah, maybe. I want to be careful. I want to randomize it. And at the end, we'll end up cropping out. So we can go rough. See how it's bleeding over like that? That's okay. Because we'll end up cropping that out anyways. Okay? And here's a little X. This is so-and-so's shoe.
That means it's his right shoe.
That's his right shoe.
That looks like a hole in the shoe. I think I had those shoes.
Right.
Passed down.
Okay. So, so we got more to repair, but I wanted to deal with the color part real quick. Now this is a black and white. When you go to Photoshop, CS4 and above, they got a neat little adjustment called black and white.
Is that on Elements?
I don't think Elements has the black and white function. You'll just have to desaturate it. So let's do that then.
The original, what I have is very yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times that yellowing was not there originally. So I got rid of all the colors. Now I'll go in. Remember we did levels, right? So let's go to levels. Now, since I desaturated all the color, there's no need to go into the different channels. We just go here at the edge.
Oh my goodness.
This, in my opinion, is how it looked when it was first made.
Can you put that for me?
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
What
And
do you-
just email me.
After you fix all these like that and you want to get a print of that then
Yeah.
to frame or whatever,
Yeah,
and you don't have the ability to print them out yourself,
yeah.
what do you do
You
then?
send it to a lab, like Kodak or Shutterfly, Kodak.com, Shutterfly.com, Snapfish.com.
Can you do it
could
like
go
to
to
Walgreens
you could
or-
go. Yeah, you can go to. I wouldn't go to Walgreens for that. I would go to Wolf Camera. I would go to
Okay.
Ritz Camera. And you tell them, here's a file. Now the thing is, this is 16 inches wide, and it's about 8 inches tall, maybe. So you have to have this printed on 16 by 20 paper,
Oh, okay.
and then you could cut it out. You'll have a lot of white space. But at least you'll have the original size.
And would it come out like, looking like a photograph, or looking like it did, like,
Well, it depends
The
how
big
good
one
your
where-
Photoshop work was.
well, but I mean, the finish of it, would they put it on a heavy paper like they used to do, or do they
Well,
put it?
you have to ask the lab
Okay.
what kind of paper they have available. Some labs, there's custom labs like MPix, MPIX.com. They got all kinds of paper. They'll print it on metallic paper. I mean,
So
so
it actually looks like an old picture, not.
you have to see, like these old pictures that basically look like they're on matte board.
Mhm.
It's heavy matte paper. Maybe, maybe not. If you like to do your own printing, like with the Epson, printers, which are fantastic printers, you can get heavyweight matte paper. I used to do, for customers, I used to do the printing in-house, and I would always steer them to the heavyweight matte, It's really nice. So anyways, that's how I would approach this one. Okay. So let me close it. Y'all having fun yet?
It's amazing to see the difference here.
Yeah. Faded.
The expression of people in that picture.
So we have about 10 minutes left. I would like to take any questions that you might have. I'm going to try to get some more prints on here while we talk. Any questions about what we did or things we didn't do? Or? Yes, ma'am.
Question regarding some of the Polaroid photos.
The Polaroids? Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything when you're scanning that we should be doing a little differently, or?
For Polaroids, anything you should be doing different? Maybe scan them in a little big. Instead of 100% size, maybe 200% size. But that's it. They're pretty much just like anything else, right? That's how I approach it. Any other questions?
In my album,
Sorry. Yes.
Do you have a particular scanner you recommend?
Yes. I recommend Epson. And on my website, I'm going to show you where. Let me close elements here. I think I'm running low on RAM. Yeah, it's just moving slow. There's Epson makes all kinds of neat scanners. They even have 3-in-1s and stuff. But if you want a dedicated scanner, this is obsolete now. This is the V350. You can probably get it pretty cheap at a closeout.
V or
V as in Victor, 350. I think they're at the V500 now. If you go to my website, it's called photographics.pro, and you click on Learn Photo Retouching, and in the right column, you see Tools of the Trade, software and hardware. Come on. I swear I thought I quit elements. All right, it's just moving slow. When you scroll down, and I have a little link where you can actually do comparison shopping for
Software and hardware?
yeah. So, right here, Epson flatbed scanners. So here's the V500 for 170 to 380, depends on which store you go to.
Wow.
You order online.
Now, can that do slides?
Yeah. This one has a. You open it up, and there's this base that comes off, and you have an attachment here. Sorry, you people on the other side can't see it. And you place it here, and you put it here, and it also has a feeder for film. You know, I don't know if the
negatives?
The V500, I'm not sure how that works, but 35mm negatives slide right in here.
Wow.
So I bring this, you know, I just teach with this one. This is the one I use for teaching. Very nice, very nice. So you had a question.
Oh, in my album I have here, I have some of these pictures that almost seem like metal. Is there?
Yeah, tintypes.
I'm assuming that's what it is. Is there anything special I need to do with these, or can I just I thought what I do is scan in this whole album.
Yep.
But is there anything I should know about doing this?
This applies for everything, what I'm going to tell you, but you especially with tintypes. Scan it in color.
Oh, scan it.
Never scan in black and white. You notice when I was scanning things, see, this is you know, you can't get everything in one session. I have a whole scanning workshop. If you go to my website, I have a bunch of workshops that you can view, and it's under that Learn Photo Retouching, and it's called Downloads. You go to Downloads, and I got so many classes of videos and shows that I do. Every month I do a live show too. You can interact with me online. These are all videos, flatbed scanning. Here's one called Flatbed Scanning, and it's, I don't know, about an hour and a half. Okay. Uh-oh, that's bad news. I have a process of going through my website to see which links are bad, and it seems that one missed. But here's a video. You know, this is a 10-minute video. So I have all kinds of videos, and a lot of them. Then there's the blog. So there's so many things we can't talk about today. If you just go to my website and look around, in the blog especially, you're going to get all kinds of information. Here's a show I did on shadow details. And it includes a step-by-step. You know, and Miss Judy over there, she does the writing for it. And so I tighten it up, and I put the step-by-step in there for you. Oh, Cary area, hey, oh, I'm here. But, you know, you should join the email list, first of all. I send out a newsletter once a month. Clipboard's back there. You'll probably find me in your spam filter, so you got to put me on your you know, your address book, your good list, yeah.
So you said always scan in color. It doesn't matter what kind of picture, what black and white
The
or
only
the...
exception might be documents, like pages out of a book that are black type.
Okay.
With black and white photos still scanning color.
Yeah, black and white photos still scan in color.
Oh, why is that?
Well, there's 3 channels of color in a color. In a grayscale scan, there's 1 channel of color. Each channel contains 8 bits of information. So 3 times 8 is 24. That means you'll have more detail in the shadows, more detail in the highlights.
By putting a black and white in color.
Yeah, if it's only grayscale, it's 8 bits of color. There's not a lot of detail.
You also have some scanners that have this thing called digital ice technology.
Yeah, digital ice. Yeah. Digital ice is really nice when you're scanning negatives and slides. It's not so nice or necessary for prints. But you know, those, especially those 35mm negatives and scans, they have scratches you'll never see. Digital ice takes care of it. Yeah. But experiment with the settings with digital ice, because you can't just use the settings out of the box all the time. It can make, especially slides, look really weird. And you may not notice it until you're done scanning all of them. So experiment with the settings, please. Okay, well, I guess that's about it. Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Yeah.